Hey there friends, I'm Andrew, this is the Strapbox, and this week our project actually begins with a story.
1 week ago. I have the newest Lego buildable Batman. He looks great, but his articulation is terrible. Well, I have the oldest buildable Batman, and while his articulation is great, he looks terrible. I've got it. You should combine them. Wait, what was that?
Nothing, the same thing you said.
And this week we're taking a bit of the old, a bit of the new, and we're fusing them together to make the perfect brick-built Batman. Now a good brick build figure has to pass 3 trials. Number 1, does it look like whatever character you're portraying? Does it look like the character? Can I set it on a shelf and go, oh yes, that's who I say it was? If you look at this Darth Vader, you're like, yeah, that's Darth Vader. If you look at this Darth Vader, you're like, I don't know what that is.
Bob, I flew up.
Number 2, posability. Not only do you want your figures to look good, but you want to be able to put them in cool poses. If you have a figure that has no posability whatsoever, that's just a statue. Which, albeit some statues are cool. But the more articulation, the better it's going to be. You can see these examples with this Iron Man mech and this 4+ Hulkbuster mech. One of them can stretch and flex. One of them can windmill its arms, and that's about it. If your build passes trial 1 and trial 2, then it's time to move on to the final trial. Is it sturdy? You could stack as many pieces as you want. However, if they all fall down at the slightest wind, then it's not really a figure, it's just a bunch of random pieces. With those 3 trials in mind, it's time to finally get started. Okay, what I have right here is a really buff boy. And he's got a lot of articulation. He's got some really good squatting power. He's got double jointed knees. He's got some big booties. He's got really good posability, but the problem is he's way too big. Looking at the slightly shorter version, now with complete pelvis and spinal column. He has a weird ab crunch. That's good. His head's a little small compared to his massive legs, but I think it'll work out in the end. It'll be a stylistic approach.
One of the most important keys to this project was I wanted to keep as much of the old Batman figure as I could, which means trying to reuse his feet, his bionicle pieces, the little armor pieces, and the head as well. Meanwhile, I'm also trying to adopt a more brick-built nature that the newer Batman has, especially in the light gray areas and the blue areas, because I don't have a lot of bionicle pieces to cover those. So I think incorporating them both is going to be the solution for this project.
Okay, it's late. I gotta show this off tomorrow.
Well, I think he's pretty beefy for one.
And I think he's super posable. I'm not fond of how far away his shoulders are from the rest of him. That gap doesn't look great, but it's gonna have to do. And I'm gonna do the forbidden art of giving him a non-Lego cape. I think I now understand why some people say, my dad can beat up your dad. Because this Batman can definitely beat up that other Batman. Let me straighten his belt right there. I put the pins for the cowl in the little joints. I don't know if you can see down there. I think it hides the gap perfectly and gives him this terrifying demeanor. The only thing I don't like is I couldn't find any of the tiny black Technic pins, so you do see them in red.
With Mark 1 complete, let's see how he compares to the newer Batman. Looks like the newer Batman is still a lot taller and thinner than our beefier version. I think in terms of looks, they're roughly tied, and posability, ours comes a little on top. And overall, come here. It's a huge knockout.
Is he good? Yeah, I think he's pretty good. He does obviously have a lot of flaws, and there are a lot of weak points, such as that right there. However, he's a good first try, but I just discovered that this piece exists which means all my effort for these double jointed knees could have been done with one single piece. And am I going to implement that right now?
Other things I really disliked about this version are the fact that his ankles are incredibly weak, which means it can fall over with the slightest push, as well as its shoulder joints being incredibly easy to accidentally tear off. Plus, the figure became so massive that its knees could barely support its own weight. Now, despite these gripes, I was going to call it a project complete, but you know I can't leave well enough alone.
I thought I was done. It's so good. Why? Why didn't I just come up with this the first time? I have the same basic boot structure, and then I have these new, well, they're not new pieces, but they're new to me for my double joint, and I have these joints, which I think will work very nicely. I changed the top for another ball and joint system, which is a lot stronger than this little peg that I did use. Is it going to last? We'll find out. It does seem pretty sturdy. And the other one was 6 wide, and that looked really, really awkward. Let's see how this one works.
And then, something terrible happened.
I forgot to film the rest of it. In my defense, I got really into the zone, and I ended up coming up with this version of Batman. But yeah, I forgot to film anything.
Mark II is slimmer, has better proportions, and over 30 points of articulation.
Key upgrades, new feet, because the old ones had really weak ankles, so there's still ball and joint hinges, which are a lot stronger rather than the whole molded piece. He has a little toe hinge as well, so he could tap his foot to the beat. He's got slightly shorter forearms. I slimmed down his whole chest, and I made a larger cavity, which means now he can move forward a lot. And he can move to the side a pretty good amount. I've included double jointed elbows and slimmed down his shoulders a lot, and his whole chest has been taken back, which looks a lot more natural. His cape is now pressed in using these 2x2 tiles. I should have trimmed that a lot nicer, but you know, you live and you learn. I think overall this gives a much better silhouette and does have a striking resemblance to Brave and Bold Batman.
So we know that this Batman looks good, but is he posable? Let's find out. We have the I Know Kung Fu, the action hero pose, the street brawler, the run for your life, the a clue. Here's where I'd keep my friends, if I had any, the eek a mouse, the urinal, the Hadouken, the Bully McGuire, too cool for school, he finally called today, the power complex, the elbow, yeah I work out, I'm just disappointed, the tracer, the updated tracer, the walking fingers, Laura Croft ledge pole, may I have this dance, the who's a good boy, it's you isn't it, the copper tone, the flash dance, and the bat. Which means this figure is super posable. Trial 2 complete, 1 left. Sturdiness.
I would say this figure is incredibly sturdy, especially when compared to Mark I, or the only parts that are a little iffy are the base of his extremities.
The curved panel will start to come off if you bend the fingers backwards too much, and if you press the foot in just the right area, it will also remove the curve. With those small faults aside, I still give it an A for sturdiness.
So there he is, my super posable Batman figure. And I think moving forward, if I'm going to make any more figures, they're all going to have at least this much articulation, maybe even more. I think if you had a more stringy, less beefy character, you could probably get even more like joint movement in there. But I think for now, it's a really good Batman.
Hey there, Future Andrew here. I just wanted to say that I put this Batman on Rebrickable. He's $2.22. That's $2 for me, 22 cents for Rebrickable. Between you and me, you can totally just build him by watching this video. However, that $2 helps me do weird things like this and other things. But anyways, back to it.
Alright, I've been Andrew. You've been watching the Scrapbox. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment of what you want to see next. Make sure to finish your homework. Alright, bye.
素敵な格好ですね。
あなたはさらに素敵に見えます。
先輩。
キスしてよバカ。
It's beautiful.